at home. I'm Julia. I got a sleeping baby on my back here. So we're going to try to film this tree unit study video today. I'm really excited to share this with you. I have so many resources. I'm going to put timestamps below so that you can skip to parts if there's certain parts that you're interested in or you want to come back later and you don't want to watch the whole thing again. Also, I always include as many resources I can in the description box below. Some of them are Amazon affiliate links, so it doesn't cost you any more, but just gives me a little bit extra. So if you do that, I appreciate it. I'm also an Usborne Books and More consultant. So some of the books below are Usborne and those link to my site. If you have any questions about those, I'm always happy to answer questions. We did this unit in the fall, but you could do it any time of year. And I actually would encourage you, if you're nature journaling, to come back to trees several times a year in the different seasons because they change so much, especially if you're in a temperate zone like us where we get leaves that change color and fall and everything. I want to mention before I jump into all the resources, I have books and games and we did activities and I love trees. So I have so many resources here. But one of the most important things that you can do doesn't actually cost anything. Just go for a walk somewhere where there are trees. Some of you are going to have trees on your property and that makes it really easy. You can even look outside your window, but I encourage you to go outside, touch the tree, be near the tree, observe it up close with your kids, and then draw it if you can. Try to identify it. I will show you an identification guide in 1 minute. So please do that. If you are in an apartment or another, housing situation where you maybe don't have a backyard or anything, but you live in a woodland area, you can always go for a hike somewhere. And we did that as part of the study. We have some trees on our property and you'll see me reference them a couple times in this video, but we also went a little bit farther afield. We are in Vermont, so we are in a great place for this. And I do realize that some of you might not be in places where you are in woodlands. Maybe you're in deserts. Just try to identify what you have there and see it. Get outside and observe nature whenever possible. That is the best way to learn about these nature topics. Okay, all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the resources. Okay, we're going to try with this view. Sorry if my hands are a little dirty. I have been gardening. So the first thing you're going to need is a field guide. I have the Peterson Field Guide for Eastern trees. You don't need to use this version. In fact, if you are not in the Eastern United States, I suggest finding one for where you are. I believe Peterson has a Western and a Central. They might also have a Southeast to South side. I don't even know. So look at where your area is because it's important to have the trees that are in your area so you and your children can observe them. And it doesn't need to be Peterson either. I'm not, tied to one particular field guide. This is just the one I happen to have. But I do think it's important when doing a study like this to have a field guide so you can identify what is in your area. All right, this book I love. This is Treecology, and I used this kind of as my spine for this study. Now, let me show you inside here. I'm having a hard time describing it, but let me show you the table of contents here. What is a tree? Tree families from the ground up. So it goes through it has lots of information in it. And then it has activities for you to do. And it has beautiful pictures as well as drawings to help you understand. So I love that. Let's see here. What is a tree? So I did read this to my children. I wouldn't consider this really a living book. This is more of a textbook, but it's written in a really digestible manner and it has activities in it. So it's not as dense as like a textbook you would normally use in school. So, and I didn't read the whole book to them. I chose parts. So it goes through information on this and then it has pictures to explain it. And let's see. This is one of my favorite pages here because this is great for nature journaling. It goes through parts of a tree and it shows you the pictures. Then it also has the drawing. Same thing with parts of a leaf shapes and designs. And I copied some of these directly into my nature journal and I will show you the nature journals later in this video. Look below for the timestamps if you want to jump ahead at any point. I'm not going to show you this entire book, but I wanted to give you, so they have these look for sections that are specific things for you to do and notes, like don't touch poison sumac. Feels like a good note. And then they have these try this pages. So every chapter has several of these. So this is a crayon rubbing of an interesting leaf, pressing leaves. And these are not difficult activities. Most of these can be done with things that you have. So yeah, and then it goes into tree families. I really, really enjoyed this book. And I would recommend it. And I would say that this, along with a field guide, nature journals, or just paper and something to write with, and then if you like, that would be a really good base for any tree study. And then you can go ahead and expand on it with the other books that I'm going to show you and some activities. Okay, so these are some more that I highly recommend. This is The Magic and Mystery of Trees. It's a DK, and it's beautiful. Again, there is the treecology in these next two books have some overlapping information, but I think that's totally fine. It's actually repetition's really good for kids, and I think for adults in some ways too when we talk about things we're learning. So it just goes through types of trees, like all these different things, and it has these beautiful drawings. And this again is a great one to use for nature journaling. I had it open, parts of a tree there. So if your kids aren't confident about, if they're not confident about drawing something on their own, then copying something from a book is a great thing for them to do. Okay, so you get the idea with this one. This one is fantastic. And it's beautiful. And a lot of these also get into, the animals that live with trees. This is like what we make from trees, or harvest from trees, what we make from trees. This is even helping trees how to plant a tree, which we have done, and not everybody can do that, and we did not do it in the context of our study, but if you want to look all the way below, I have a link to my gardening channel where I'm starting an orchard here. So anyway, The Magic of Mystery and Trees, it's a great one. Also, Tell Me Tree by Gail Gibbons. I love Gail Gibbons books for nonfiction for kids. Science units, I always look for Gail Gibbons. So again, some repetition in the information, but I don't think it's a bad thing. This is written in a really easy way to just read through for kids with lots of pictures. So the other ones I would read like bits and pieces at a time. This I just read all the way through. It's got information back. So that's Tell Me Tree by Gail Gibbons. So those were my absolute favorites. Now, I debated whether to show you this one, and here's my thoughts on it. I got this one because Arabelle Buckley has this whole series, mostly I think on different plants. There might be some on animals too. And I believe that Charlotte Mason actually used them in her programs. And it is written like to a student to tell you to observe this on your way, and it's got short chapters. And so in that way, I can see why she liked it. A couple things. One, this is based, I'm pretty sure she was in England, in Britain. So not all the trees match what we have here. But more importantly, it did not hold my kids' interests. And to be honest, I don't think it would hold mine that well either, except that I love trees. So the reason I debated sharing this is because this is not one that I would use again if I were to choose. And somebody asked me recently how I choose my books, and I did mention I don't have many duds, and that's true. I've had really good luck with the, finding sources I trust and looking at the books as much as I can online before ordering, and if I can look in a bookstore, do that, or getting them out from the library first. This is one I got because Charlotte Mason had used them, and I wanted to try to use it like a spine, and it just did not work for us. So I don't want to say that it may not work it may work better for you. And so I would encourage you to look at it yourself, but I'm going to try to show you what's in here so that you can get a better idea and make that for yourself. So you can see the contents here. It starts with like an introduction to trees, and then it goes through different kinds of trees based on different aspects. So like how a trees goes, they use the horse chestnut as a example, and then trees with catkin flowers, the British oak, guests of the oak, the beech and sweet chestnut. So so it's written to the child. It says, I wonder if you have ever stopped to think how useful trees are in the world. Let us imagine a little tree. And so I thought that might be good, but it just, compared to the other books that we have today, was not as living as I would have liked. I do like the pictures, but again, they didn't really hold my children's attention. So hopefully giving you a peek in here will let you know a little bit better if this will work for your family. And I thought including it and telling you all this would be better than just leaving it out. And then, if you encounter it, then you know a little bit more about it. So it might work better with older kids, might work better if you're in Britain, but that's what that is Trees and Shrubs by Arabella Buckley. Now, these are not tree-specific books. These are some nature books that I love that have tree stuff that have relevant information to trees in them. So I wanted to share. Nature Anatomy is one of my absolute favorite books for nature. I have Nature Anatomy, I have Farm Anatomy. There's also Food Anatomy that I don't have, and Ocean. Is it Ocean Anatomy? Yeah, Ocean Anatomy I think just came out. So I highly recommend all of them. I just have the 2 for right now. The other 2 are on my wish list. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find, I should have marked the tree section for you. So she does have a section here with different information on trees. I think that's, I think this is where it starts. And it's nature and this, my favorite way to use this book is for nature journaling, to look at it, look through the pages and choose one or more to copy. And when I do that, I try to note in my nature journal that I've copied it. But it's just beautiful, and there's such great information in here. So there's a lot of different trees, and then the bark. I love sycamores. Those are one of my favorite trees. I don't see them as often up here. They grow much, they're much more prolific in Maryland where we were before. Okay, and this is actually an idea for a craft. Oh, and then it moves to front. So Nature Anatomy is fantastic. The Law's Guide to Nature Drawing and Journaling is another great one. Now, this is for like adults or older kids. I don't really use this with my children as much, and I want to work my way through this whole thing at some point. But I did want to point out that there's a specific chapter on trees in here, and it's how to draw them. So it goes through some principles that you might need to know for the different aspects of trees. And this could just be used for like an art program, I think, for an older child. Or maybe even a high schooler who's interested in nature study or needs an art credit. These are fantastic. So it goes through different kinds of trees at a distance, close up. Lots of stuff that I never would have thought of. So it also has landscapes, which might also be relevant for trees. But there's lots in here. Again, not just trees, but is a great resource to have for the tree unit. And this one here is Botanicum. And this is part of the Welcome to the Museum series. And let's see here. There's all different things in here. And I think there is a tree section in here too. We basically just use it to look at. And I had it open to the different tree pages throughout, like on our unit study shelf throughout our unit. Okay, I think this is this is the tree section. So fruit trees, tropical trees, temperate trees. I think I had it open to this one. Again, we did it in the fall, so it's nice to have those fall elements. There, the ginkgo, the giant sequoia, which is so cool, conifers, trees. So that's Botanicum. Next, I have a couple stacks of books here that are just generally about trees. Now, some of them have more, I guess, scientific information about the trees, either just straight up or woven in, and others are just like sweet stories that feature trees that are great for especially the younger kids. And I think it's good to have a variety. And again, you do not need all of these. A lot of these I did not get for the unit specifically, but just had around my house. And we did not read them all during the time of our unit, but I wanted to share them with you in case some of these might be perfect for you and your family for your tree unit or whatever else you may be studying. Okay, so the first here is an Usborne Shine a Light book, and it's The Secrets of the Apple Tree. And the way this Shine a Light book works is, and I don't know if I can make it work here because I don't really have a good thing, but basically it has these images in the back that shine through when you I'm going to see if I can get an image of this later and insert it here. It shines through. Well, you can see a little bit there. when you shine light behind it. And so it works with a flashlight really well, or you can hold it up to a window. But this also just has a lot of information around it and around the trees. And my kids really enjoy these books. It's a cool series. There's a bunch of different kinds. We have some of the like construction. I think my son has a construction site one that he really likes. Yeah, and these also make great gifts, this series. So I highly recommend them. Secrets of the Apple Tree. Okay, so this is Secrets of the Apple Tree. This is Strange Trees. This one is a fun one. So it goes through specific kinds of trees and where they are in the world. This is I think this is a used library one. I get a lot of used library ones, so it's got random stuff on it. All right, so this is like a chocolate tree, and then it has a little description of the tree and pictures. So each spread is a different kind of tree. Ghost tree. Breadfruit tree. This could be a cool thing to do also in the context of a geography study. I didn't have this when we did Around the World Preschool, but it could have been a cool thing to incorporate there because they're from all over the world. And so then you could mark on the map where the different trees are. We just read it through for fun because it's just a fun book. Yeah. So, yeah, apparently it's from Harford County Public Library. But now we have it and my kids are enjoying it. So, and I think your kids would as well if that's something you're interested in. The Great Kapok Tree. This was also I originally got this book for our South America study, I believe. I will link that video below as well. And it's about a kapok tree. And again, it's a used library book. And this man is going to cut it down. And he gets tired and falls asleep. And all these animals whisper to him that the kapok tree is their home and how important it is for them. It takes place in Brazil. So I had it in context of Brazil before, but also just trees and their importance. So I really like that one. The Great Kapok Tree. Also would be great for like an Earth Day study. The Busy Tree is in some ways similar. It's not the same. But it just talks about all the life living inside the busy tree. And this is really great for younger kids because it's got, fewer words on the page and it's rhyming. So this is great for like toddlers and preschoolers. Yeah, and it's really sweet. So that's the Busy Tree. This is Wangari's Trees of Peace, and this is about Wangari Maathai, and she, I believe, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and I don't know if she's still alive or not, but she is an amazing woman in Africa, I believe Kenya. Yeah, she's from Kenya, and she sees that people were cutting down the trees, and that when she came back from studying, and that it really affected the whole land, and so she started planting trees and teaching the women around her to plant trees and basically started a movement of all these women planting trees and basically saved her village and her home. And yeah, the government did jail her at some point. But I don't think this is written in a scary way. It's obviously a children's book. There's another picture book about her too that is equally as good that we had gotten out from the library, I believe. And it might actually be in my Africa. I can't remember if it was this one or the other one that's in my Africa Preschool Around the World video, so I can also link that below. But I really like to have, I like to have different things in my units, and so people who care about trees and have championed them is a great thing to include. There's another book that I don't have, but I took out from the library a long time ago that just popped into my head, and that's called Tree Lady. And I forget the woman who it's about, but I believe she was in California and planted a bunch of trees there. So it's another one to look into. This is Sky Tree, and this is a Thomas Locker book, and he just has the most gorgeous paintings that he uses in his books. And this goes through a tree in different weather and seasons. And it has it has focus questions on the bottom. How does this painting capture the stillness of a snowy day? It's supposed to be an art and science melding or conversation that you can have. And I didn't really use those. I just read it to the kids and we looked at the pictures. And I just think they're gorgeous. I would purchase these pictures to hang up in my house. I think they're beautiful. Yeah, so that's Sky Tree by Thomas Locker. This book is so sweet. This is poetry, and this is about a little girl. This one is one of the ones that is not as focused on trees, but like the tree is a main part of it. So it's about a little girl who loves poetry, and she's made fun of at school, and she writes poems to a tree, and the tree starts writing poems back. And I don't want to give it all away, but it's so sweet, and you should check it out. This would be great for preschool through elementary school. It would also be great in the context of like kindness. And yeah, so fantastic. It's also just beautiful, and it feels really good. I don't even know how to, it's also just beautiful. So I love beautiful illustrations and all. So poetry. Okay, here's another stack. I think this one has more that are just like stories. This is kind of a mix in here. Okay, so this little acorn grows up. My brother gave this to my kids, and it is so cute. The babies all love it. It's got this little leaf thing there, and it's just the story of it. It's a board book, so great for toddlers, and it's got colors. So the yellow acorn fell, white mouse. It's about the animals who talk about how they're going to live in and around the tree when it grows up. So little acorn, what will you be? Someday I'll be a great big tree, and my trunk will keep you warm. There's blue bird, gray rabbit, the brown boar, the red deer, and then little acorn starts to grow into a tree. And then all the animals live around the tree, and it's so cool. Anyway, so we really enjoy this one. So if you have little ones, this is a really good one to have for them. Okay, so this is The Princess in the Forest. It's not really tree specific, but it's Sybil von Offers, and it's just a really sweet book for young children with pictures, and she lives in the forest. And yeah, I have more books that are just like forest animals and tangential to forest animals, but I didn't include them all because there's so many books here. But this is one that I really like for young children. Woody Hazel and Little Pip. This is Elsa Besco, and this is, if you are one of my watchers who does a more strict Montessori, this is these ones that I'm showing you here are not really Montessori. They're more Waldorf style, and they're fantasy, right? So this is like the children of the different trees, and so like there's Mrs. Acorn and Mrs. Hazelnut and their children, and some of the children have an adventure, and it's actually can get a little bit scary. So I wouldn't go super young with this one. Everything does turn out okay in the end, and I love the pictures. I think they are so fun. But I like that it's like the different kinds of trees. Anyway, so that one's a really sweet, like fun Waldorf style fantasy tree book. All right, this one's a little different. This one's actually kind of a historical, it's like a historical tree. It's about an oak tree growing and what's happening around it for 200 years as it grows. So you can kind of see. So yeah, again, the tree is central to the story, but it's not about like the science of trees. But it's, you see how big it gets and all the things that change in the 200 years of its life. So yeah, and there are some facts about oak trees in the back. So there's there is that, but yeah, an oak tree grows. Okay, so we did this in the fall. So these specific books are for like fall leaves changing color and falling, and some of our activities are very fall focused as well. So if you're doing it a different time of year, you just don't have to include these. So this is, we're going on a leaf hunt. It's like we're going on a bear hunt, that classic children's story and rhyme, I guess. But it's with leaves. So they get different kinds of leaves as they go around. And yeah, So that's just fun. I like to read it and then go on our own leaf hunt. And I've had this one for years, and I've done it with the kids. It's another really good one for young kids. Little yellow leaf. Some of these will probably pop up again. I'm hoping to do a fall, my favorite fall picture books when we get there. I'm trying to do all the seasons this year. So this is one that's always out during the fall. It's just about a little leaf who's not ready to let go yet. And it has really cool pictures. I think they're collage. Yeah. So it's just a story about a little leaf on a tree. This is a longer one too. This is another Elsa Bascal, and it's about September, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. September is personified, and Christopher is playing in the garden with September, and they kind of explore the different plants in September, and their harvest. So there are some plants that are not trees, but there's a lot of trees here. It's Mrs. Bramley and the apple tree, Mrs. Plum, 2 kinds of plums. So yeah, and it goes through other ones as well. But yep, cabbage, flowers. So yeah, I decided to put it in there in case you were interested. It does feature a few fruit trees, but it's not as tree focused as much as just harvest time focused. This is poetry, and it's a book of poems and stories about trees. And I didn't read all the stories, but we did do some of the poems. And you can also just find poems on trees in different places. So I had some in our circle time at the time. I believe Sarah Coleridge has one about trees, if I'm not wrong. I will find links to the other. I don't have them on me right now. I didn't think to get them, but this one's okay. It's like a nice add-on, but I don't think it's my favorite or one that I would say you have to have for sure. So that's okay. But I will try to link some of the other poems because you can find them online for free. And it's great to include some poetry. You could do a tree poetry tea. Next, we have some non-book resources. So these are printables that I bought from various shops. I'll start with this one here. This is a big one. This is from Tanglewood Hollow, and this is their tree and leaf bundle. So it has a bunch of cards that they're all mixed together, but it has the actual tree, the leaf, and then the bark. Actually, they might be sorted because I think my daughter had sorted them. That I asked her to do. And she had to, because it's hard to match all of them, I don't think she could do it on site. She had to do a little bit of reading, I think, to be able to do it. But yeah, it's got a lot of different things in there. So yeah, I had her match these. You could use them in various ways. You could use them for nature journaling. You could make like a matching game where you flip them over. And for that, you could just use like 2 out of the 3, like the tree and the bark, or the tree and the leaf and bark, whatever, however you want to do it. So yeah, I just had her match the 3 together for the different trees. And then it also came with these anatomy posters. So there's acorn anatomy, leaf anatomy, pinecone anatomy, tree anatomy, and a bark identification guide. So those are all really cool. And I may actually laminate these at some point and put them on a ring or something so we can have them on our nature study shelf. Then let's see. This here is from Enchanting Stamps. She actually makes stamps of these too, but I just bought this. It's the layers of a tree trunk. And so this one shows you all of the layers, and then there's a card for each one that describes them a little bit more. And I just thought these were so pretty. I think the stamps she has of these are gorgeous too. And like if you have a Montessori classroom, this would be so cool to have the stamps and have the kids stamp them all together and then label them. But I drew mine in my nature journal. I don't know if the kids did in theirs, but it was out for them to peruse. And then these I actually had displayed. Again, we did ours in autumn. This is the Autumn Leaves bundle, I think, from Brave Grown Home. Again, these will all be linked below. And it has different trees, and it gives you a description of them, and it just has the really pretty watercolors. So they're a little bit marked because I had them on sort of a video here. I had them hanging up by our unit study shelf, and this was up as well. So So pretty. Okay, so then I have these. Now these are just acorns. These are pine cones I've had for a while. Acorns would be great to have too. These are just for basically for loose play. You could also use them to sketch, you know, what a pine cone looks like, but I just had them around and had them out. The kids play with them. Additionally, where did those go? These are only a couple of them. I have more. These were actually, I got these for my wedding. And they have little, you can put things in here. They were like holding the table number cards on our tables, as well as some other signage. And now I just use them for my kids as blocks, basically, and play. They're from birch trees. And there was a small family business. Again, they're from a while ago. It's from our wedding. So I pulled those out for the kids to play with too. And these can also be used as loose parts. These have several uses. So these are from Nature Watch. And they're actually like, you can they have holes in them, so you can tie a string and then you can use them as ornaments or something else. And I might use a couple to make ornaments this year. We'll see. Actually, I have a family member whose wedding we went to that used these, and they did chalkboard, and they used them as like the table number assignments on one side, and then did like love and different peace and different things on the other side, and then their ornaments, and we still put them on our tree each year. So cute idea there. But we used them also for counting rings. So we talked about that. And then we ended up also using these in our geometry study when we were talking about diameter and radius and circumference. So these came in really handy. We just happened to be doing that at the same time, and these were out. So that was really handy for me. These aren't actually exact circles for the most part, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and then again, they can just be loose parts as well to play with. This resource is also from Nature Walk. This is Forest in a Box. It's for classrooms, but you know, I got it. And for right now, we just have them all stored within their cards here, because it does have information in each one, and it's just different things that you might find in a forest. So some of them are things my kids can find a lot, but we don't actually have pecan trees here. So, yeah. So it was like fun to compare, and then if we find things, you can see, oh, that's a different kind of snail's shell than we normally find. Yeah, so it's got lots of these different things in it, and I just had these out for my kids to explore, and then I think they'd also be great for like comparing to what you find on your nature walks. Now, we did several projects as part of this, and I will try to put video or pictures in here of the specific projects we did. This was one, and this was making little acorns out of wool roving. You felt them with some soap and hot water, and you roll them, and it's actually harder than it sounds. I ended up doing most of them, and then what I did is I glued acorn caps on top and put them on like a clear line, clear string, and we have so we can hang them in our playroom. And so I'll try to get a picture of that as well. I have more material, so I'm probably gonna make more of them. I really like how that looks. Our playroom, I'm trying to create kind of a woodland rainbow theme down there, so these work perfect for that. You could also use more neutral colored wool roving. I just happened to get the rainbow because that's what I wanted. And there's lots of other things you could do. You could also have these out for loose part play, or you could make little peg dolls with acorns and acorn hats, or different things like that. So there's lots of fun things you could do with these supplies. And for either just a tree unit or a fall unit, or really you could use them for a lot of different things. So I might actually make the little peg dolls this fall. That sounds really fun. We also did printing, and so I used fall colors that I had of fabric paint, and this is just a piece of drop cloth. I actually had some extra drop cloth that I was using for fabrics, and I just got it at Lowe's. It's fairly inexpensive, and you can just wash it a couple times, and it makes it softer and less stiff. And I cut a piece to be a table runner, and then we used this the fabric paint in the fall colors, and a couple different leaves that we found, and we just printed with the leaves. It probably would have been better to have more tools. It would have come out a little bit better, but honestly worked fine with just using, we used paintbrushes to paint the paint onto the leaves and then pressed it down with our hands. A roller would probably have been helpful, but this worked fine. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I like to incorporate games. So these are 2 games I got for this unit. This is Match a Leaf, a tree memory game. What is the I'm trying to see what the publisher is. But anyway, they have there's a bunch of games that are kind of like this that are just beautiful cards. Here, let me pull it out. It's exactly what it sounds like. But it has like the leaf and it has the tree. So they're all mixed up right now, I think, from the last time we played. Oh, here we go. Here, this is a good example. A European beach and a European beach. I think these are from Britain again, so there's going to be some that we don't have here. But there's a lot of trees in here, and the pictures are beautiful, and this is what the other side looks like. And yeah, and it's got a little guide here that it comes with that has information on the trees, which we didn't use. We just played the game. We have plenty of things with information in it, so that's fun. So that's a fun match a leaf tree memory game. And again, you could actually make your own game like this. Either you could use printables like I showed you before, or you could draw your own, or you could get like samples of leaves and match the different leaves. There's also things you could do with that. And this is Into the Forest. This is a nature food chain game, so it's not specifically about trees. It's about the animals that are in the forest. My daughter loves animals, and so this was a hit. Oh no, since we played, somebody seems to have written on it, which is kind of a bummer. But I will show you anyway. Oh, I think they were drawing different. Okay, well, you kind of get an idea. It shows you for when you're playing basically what eats what. And it's a game where you have different cards and you eat each other. You eat each other. That sounds so bad, but it's kind of what happens is it's got beautiful pictures, and it tells you on the card as well what it eats and who it's eaten by. Yeah, and basically you're trying to survive here. So there we go. So it's an interesting game. Again, it's not as tree specific, but it is a good science game to have, and my children did enjoy it, and kind of wish they hadn't written on that, but it is what it is. I'm gonna put it this way. I don't think I'm describing this very well. I will, again, link to it below, and yeah. I don't know if I'm describing it very well, but my kids did enjoy it. It can be a little morbid, and it's definitely not cooperative. So if that's an issue for you, just know that ahead of time. But yeah, my kids liked it, and I thought it was good to incorporate in this tree unit. I also wanted to show you our nature journals for this unit. I was able to nature journal along with the kids, which I love to do. And I just wanted to give you a view of what, like, the different ages, what it looks like, what we did. So we did intro pages, I guess. I think this is the only side. Yeah, I just used this one side. This is mine, and this is a poem or part of a poem, and I'm totally blanking on who wrote it. I think I wrote that down somewhere else. But I just really liked it for this October tree unit that we did. So it's October Gave a Party, and I did some sketches and then watercolored. And the kids, I had them do, so this is she was 6 at the time we did this unit, and he was 4, to give you an idea of what theirs looked like. She also had me write the same poem there for her, and then did pictures around it, and he just did more tree sketches. And I wrote, this is the 6, almost 7-year-old writing trees there, and I wrote his for him. So let's just hear. I'm going to flip through. I'm going to start with mine and just flip through one at a time to kind of show you what we ended up doing. Okay. So I did parts of a tree here, and this is from the little cross section there. And I sketch it out first, and then I often come back and watercolor several pages at a time. And these are trees are on our property. These are some of my fruit trees and some wild trees. So it's pretty simple. I don't think I got to finishing this page here. We have a Norway maple that we identified, and then I didn't get to coming back to that page, but I sketched out these pages and didn't get to watercoloring them, but that's okay too. Not everything has to be watercolored. These are different seeds, the parts of a leaf, different shaped leaves, and that's that for my leaf study there. And then I'm going to show you, we did little covers for ours at some point. See, this is how much I like trees. A tree is the cover of my nature journal. This is again, so this is from her first grade year. She was 6, almost 7. This is her introductory page. And then she did parts of a tree. So I encourage them to do certain things, like I give them examples, but for the most part, I just say, choose something that we read about. And it has to be, accurate information, but like, and you'll see I require a lot less of the preschoolers. Yeah, it has to be accurate information, but I let them choose. So she doesn't have the same things in here that I do. So she drew an apple tree here with apples and the parts of the tree, the crown, the branch, leaf. And so I wrote these. I labeled it for her when she told me what to label. And she wrote that the apple tree is only one example of many different trees that have fruits and nuts. There are a lot of trees in the world. Many trees turn bright colors in the fall. All trees have leaves. Trees are important in our lives. So again, I wrote that for her, but she told me what to write. These are from when we went outside and did bark rubbings. And so I think it says in the back, this is the maple tree. This is a black locust. And this one is a pine tree. So again, pine, black locust, maple tree. And I just taped those in there for her. These are some examples I think she did of, well, they're seeds and random stuff. They're cherries, apparently. This, she traced leaves from outside, here and here and here, willow leaf, birch leaf, and a maple leaf. She traced the black locust thorn, I believe, as well. And drew some flowers, pine needle cluster. This one didn't end up being labeled. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, and we did talk about the Vermont state tree is the sugar maple. So we talked about that, and she drew that in there. And that's hers. And then let me quickly show you the preschooler who was 4 at the time that we did this. So I obviously expect a lot less than him. These are his bark rubbings. And then I did label those for him. But I think that's the extent of, then he just kind of, yeah. And that's something else. So that's it. And that's okay. I am happy that he did this. The rubbings and this, that makes me happy. With him, we're working on just doing a little bit, and also just working through the book in order is a thing with him, because he just wants to open to random pages and color in all of them. And so using the nature journal as intended to do nature journaling and go in order is something we're working on. They also have art journals, and so they're allowed to draw. I'd like them to go in order as well, but to draw whatever they want in there. And that's when, if they're doing fantasy stuff, I prefer they draw in there and leave this for things that they've observed or know of in nature. Thank you for watching, friends. I hope the changing lighting wasn't too bad. If you liked it, please give that thumbs up button below. It lets YouTube know that you like this video and helps me out. Additionally, if you've gotten to this point in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do that as well so you don't miss any new content. And again, it lets YouTube know that you like what I'm doing on my channel and helps me out here. So much more content coming your way soon as I sneak in times to film with this baby on me and lots of gardening going on. If you are curious about what I'm doing in the garden, please check out my gardening channel. I have been busy out there as well. And stay tuned for more of my curriculum planning videos, because we are in the throes of curriculum planning for next year. Okay, I hope you are all well. I'm wishing you the best. I hope you can get outside in nature today. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later.